Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Dr. Aftab Mehmood, with the program Innovative Pakistan with Dr. Aftab. And today is very special day for all of us, and that day is Scientist Day. So, just like we celebrate the other international days, just like we celebrate the Teachers' Day, and just like we celebrate the Mother's Day to pay tribute to the teachers and to the mothers, similarly, the Scientist Day is to pay tribute to the scientists across the world. And luckily, just like I'm sorry, just like the day was started, the International Day of Science and Development, it was actually started in Pakistan. So Pakistan was the country who proposed the UN that there should be a day of science, and now we have the International Science Day on 10th of November. Similarly, the day of the Scientist Day also started from Pakistan back in 2011, when National Academy of Young Scientists actually proposed this day. Although this is not yet approved by the UN, but we are celebrating this day since 2011. So it's like been more than a decade of celebrating the Scientist Day. And on this day, not only in Pakistan, so not only the National Academy of Young Scientists, but the other organizations, just like the Islamic World Young Scientist Academy and many other organizations now celebrate this day across the world. So this day is not only limited now to Pakistan, but also it has expanded to so many other countries. And this day is actually pay tribute, pay salute to the scientists who are working day and night to make the difference in the lives of the people. So all the blessings now we have in this world, like just like we are communicating to you, just like in the morning if we get up, then we have all the appliances working for us. If we have to prepare the breakfast, we have now the microwave oven, we have the cell phone. So in the morning when we get up, we often search for our cell phone, and then we see the updates, what's happening across the world. So the cell phone technology, so like 50 years ago, nobody could imagine that we'll have the devices and the whole world will be on the palm of our hand. So now we have the whole world in front of us, what's going on across the world, what are the maps across the world, what is the weather across the world. If you are like sitting in Islamabad, and you can have the exact weather update in New York, in London, in Tokyo, in Jakarta, in so many other places. So literally the world has come to you now. And all the development we have seen, especially the recent development in terms of artificial intelligence, in terms of the robotics, the world is totally changing. And who are the main force behind are the scientists. So definitely we should pay tribute to the people, to the scientists who are actually have a lot of curiosity in their mind, and in order to untap that curiosity, they visit the laboratories, and in those laboratories they explore the world, they try to find the laws of nature, they try to build new things, new discoveries, and doing a lot of inventions and innovation. So on this very special day, we have a very special guest for you, that is Dr. Kubra, who is also a scientist. Excuse me for this change in voice, actually. So we have Dr. Kubra with us today. She is the scientist, and let's talk to her and let's ask her how she is feeling being a scientist.
Thank you very much for inviting me. And actually, when we say that today is a Scientist Day, we feel so special actually. And we think that okay, because we are listening that there are the many days, but no one is celebrating the Scientist Day, so we feel very like proud and very like we want, like this was the day that we want to celebrate it. Yeah.
So what was like your motivation and passion to be scientist? Would you like since your childhood, would you like it was in your mind that you will be a scientist,
No,
or
not at all. Actually, it was a transition jump. In from my childhood, since my childhood, I always hear that I'm going to be a doctor, like MBBS doctor. So, but when I was in a FSC, then I got the experience to see the life of the doctors. So then I decided that I'm not going to become a doctor because it's really very tough duty actually. And when I started the working in the laboratory in FSC, then I see the different kind of the laboratories like biology lab, physics labs, and chemistry labs. So I start enjoying doing the different experiments, and I want to touch each and every instrument in the lab, and I want to do the different like whenever teacher asks us to do this experiment, I enjoy that thing. Then I realized that being a doctor is not cup of tea for me because this is also a very tough job. So I thought that I should continue my education, and I go for to become a researcher. Then in FSC I get the transition from the story that I always listen since my childhood, that you will be a doctor. Then I like switch from the that study to the like BS and MS and PhD. Then I decided that I should go for the some laboratory work and research work. So that was my like journey started from that age.
Okay, so that's really interesting that you actually switched from being a doctor to a scientist. So how do you feel right now? So are you happy being a scientist, or you still would like to be a doctor or any other professional?
No, I'm very satisfying, and there are other different challenging challenges that we are receiving from the different industries and the agricultural side. And whenever we solve that problem, that is really very satisfying thing that we are doing a huge impact. Actually, scientists do the huge impact on the society. Whenever we solve one problem, and we are solving the problem of so many people. So this is really very satisfying. That and I'm enjoying being scientist and researcher, and I love to do the different experiments. And even I see that spark in my elder son, and he also like to do some experiment. Not he's like quite little boy, like 5-year old, but he love to do the planting and do some. He pretend that he is doing some experiment.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's really interesting. So this, as you have mentioned, that it's not only like developing the things and nurturing your own curiosity, but it's also one of the like main objective of the scientist is to solve the problem. So whatever problem is faced by the society, for example, we are facing a lot of issues right now, just like we are facing the climate change, and we are facing so many other issues like pollution is a great problem in the world. CO2 level is exceeding, and temperature is rising in the world. So these are the bigger issues we are facing. So actually, that's actually through the scientists. So the scientists who are the people who work on those problems. So at this stage, I would like, being like a scientist, I think we should celebrate the scientists and their journey as well. So would you like to explain the work you were doing, like during your studies, the scientific experiments you were doing, and what kind of experiment you was doing, and what was the impact of those scientific experiments till now? What kind of research you are doing?
Okay.
So what is, and then you also tell us a bit about the researcher's life. So is it like easy? Do they enjoy being the scientists working in the laboratories, and what kind of like their motivation and what kind of their happiness is being a
Yeah.
researcher?
Actually, in the start, I was saying that being a doctor is a very tough job. Actually, being a researcher is also very tough. It's just a matter of interest. Whenever you feel comfortable in any field, you enjoy it. And I think this is the best strategy that you can opt for your career adaptation. So yeah, life of researcher is also, I will answer the last question first. Life of researcher is also very busy and very tough because we are running the different experiments, and sometimes these experiments go for many hours. So we have to stay there. It's not like a office job that if you left any work, you can do it in the morning, but we can't do it like this. If we have started the experiment, and if it is not ended on 5 o'clock, we have to stay there in the laboratory, and we have to finish it and see the results. So life as a researcher, as a scientist, is not very easy, but it's all about the your interest and your motivation for this. Like, and the first question you asked, what kind of research I have did. So because I have told you that okay, I have the experience of getting the education from the different universities in Rawalpindi and Islamabad.
Right.
So I read from the 3 or 4 universities. So when I go to the different universities, there are different projects what they were doing in the department. So I have a very diverse experience of research.
Right.
So I started my research from the algal study. Then in the next degree, I did the drought tolerance. I make some drought tolerance varieties of the wheat. That is also salinity tolerance varieties of the wheat, and that is can be grown in the salt range of the Pakistan and the area that is very salty. And different kind of like we have a huge salt range, and we cannot get the enough wheat production from that. So I worked on that. Then I did the QTL mapping. That is the gene it is a QTL mapping is actually the kind of thing that we do with the genes. It's not a genetic engineering, but we sort out the different kind of the genes for the specific trait.
Right.
Yeah. So then when I came to the PhD, then I chose the topic that is very interesting. That is the signaling pathway in the plants. That how we feel, we have the nervous system, and how we feel the different stimuli and the different kind of the stimulus that going through in our body. Similar things are happening in the plants.
Right.
And what is happening when they get the drought stress, that is the water stress. What happened when they get the different kind of we spray the different chemicals. What happened to their body in the plants, and it's like different type of stimulus, how they respond to the different stimulus the plant respond. This is also very good study that we should I think this kind of studies we should talk about to the society, that plants are also responding to the different stresses. And one interesting thing about the human and the plant is that if plant is the healthy, we eat it and we get the healthy things. If plant is unhealthy, we eat it. So health of the plant is directly related to human health. Yeah, this is also very, if it has the more nutrients, we get the more nutrients. So if plant health is important, is as important as our health is important.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting listening the story of Dr. Kubra, that she has worked in different institutions and in different laboratories, started his work on algae, and then she worked on the saline resistant crops, and she has developed, and then she moved to the signaling pathway, so how the plants actually respond to different stimuli, and also how we can have the healthy plants in different environmental conditions. So this is how actually the researchers work. So they get different problems they get different projects. So whatever the problem is there, they start working on those and trying to find out the answer. Just like I can briefly tell my own story. So during my BS, I was like very much passionate to work on the hepatitis. So my initial project was to develop a new vaccine, new kind of vaccine. So there is a recombinant vaccine available for hepatitis B, but I was trying to work on a new kind of vaccine that could be used as a therapy as well. So how we can stimulate the immune system and we can have a better version of hepatitis B vaccine. So that was my initial project. Later on, I was also working on different recombinant proteins. So how we can increase the shelf life of the proteins and different vaccines and different biomolecules, and also how we can increase the life of molecules inside our body. So I was doing some experiments in which I was trying to make chimeric protein. So chimeric protein may be a new terminology for my listener. So it's actually a combination of two different proteins. So we make the chimera. They are not naturally existent, but we try to make them together. So the idea was, like, for example, we are taking the insulin, and insulin stays in our body for a certain time, just like that can stay for like 12 hours. And if we can add some other proteins, for example, if we add the albumin, which is very stable protein in our body, and we have these two protein together, then that might have a longer life, that can stay for almost a whole week. So instead of like taking insulin almost daily, you can have insulin once in a week. So this is how the scientists are actually working to make your life easier. Then I was also working on different recombinant proteins. I also worked in Pakistan, and then I went to US and I worked in different laboratories making different recombinant proteins so we can have better therapeutic options for our patients in Pakistan and also for rest of the world. Another very active area was the stem cell technology. I was like stem cell was a buzz when I was a university student. So stem cell research was a buzz topic. So everybody was talking about the stem cells. So I was also very passionate to work in this area. So I got the opportunity of working on stem cells. So I was the pioneer actually in my institute who established the laboratory of stem cells at School of Biological Sciences, and then I got some additional training from United States. So I went to US, and there I was working on a very, very interesting project, and that project was on induced pluripotent stem cells. So IPS or induced pluripotent stem cells are those cells in which we do the reprogramming. So what we do normally, what happens in our life, so we actually are young and then we get old. So reprogramming is how we can transform the old into young again. So scientists, yes, so scientists were thinking that we can't do this. Once we are old, we are old. We can't be young again. So we were working on the cells, and we were trying to transform the cells, the old cells, back into the young cell. So that is called the induced pluripotent stem cells, in which we take the old cell. For example, if somebody is 100 years old, then the brain cells and the eye cell, they will be 100 years old. So what we can do, we take those cells, grow in the dishes, and in just 21 days we can transform those cells back into 10 days old cells. So 100 years old cells back into 10 days old cells, and now we could do it successfully. So that was very, very interesting that we could do. So we could transform the old cells into the young cells. And this is how, so that was actually the start of that was at the cellular level. So the next target was, can we do the old people, can we make them young again? So at the cellular level, we can do it, but at the organismic level, there is a lot of research work is going on across the world, and the scientists, they are working on different models in which they are trying to understand the aging process, how we are getting old, what actually happens inside our body, and why we get old with the passive time. So there are like so many things actually that happens. For one of the thing is like our chromosome, they get shortened, the telomeres, they get shortened. We have limited number of stem cells. Our mitochondrial number actually get reduced. We are exposed to different oxidative stress. Our cells go to the senescence, and so many things. So many things actually happens inside our body. So now we are trying to tackle this issue. So this is very important, because as we get old, the incidence of different diseases, both non-communicable and communicable, that get increased. So like as we get to 60, as we can like understand from our own home, that our elders, they are like having some kind of, like sometimes they have diabetes, other
Yeah,
have the
exactly.
hypertension. So it's a common some kind of pain actually start in the knees and in the joints and many other complications. So this is what happens as we get old. And there is a study from our university, and that says that if you are more than 60 years old in Pakistan, are more than 60 years old people, they are taking around 5 pills a day on average. So the number of
Oh,
pills
yeah.
we are taking as we get old increase. So if we stay young, then we will enjoy more youth and more healthy youth, and then we will not have those diseases as we get old. So the target of our scientists, and this is the area I'm also working for the last more than 10 years, that how we can be young, how we can stay and young for a longer time. And there are so many promising results so far. So now we understand at the genetics level that there are some genes which are involved in the that keep us young. And then there we have like understood now quite a good number of pathways, just like you was talking about the signaling pathway. I think that's
Yeah.
also quite interesting in the plants as well, because plants get old, how we can keep them young and nutrition healthy. So that could be another
Yeah,
area.
there is also research on some scientists are also working on the stem cells in plants as well.
So definitely, so just like there are stem cells in the animals, so there are stem cells in the plants, and they are actually more plastic in the
Yeah,
sense it's not that plastic. Plasticity means they have the ability to transform, and they could be like the plant stem cell, they can transform into any
yeah,
specialized kind of cells in a more easy way, and they can be easily converted into the stem cells.
yeah,
So in human we take like quite a long time, but like in I have done some of the research of in that area as well, because we can use like some certain media.
yeah,
So if we take like pisa plant and we grow on, for example, MS media, Murashigi and Skug media, then those cells can be transformed into the stem cells. So it's quite easy of doing that in
yeah.
plant.
Because
Uh,
human body is very complicated and interconnected with the different organs and the system. So, doing experiment on human is like quite risky thing.
yeah, so in
Yeah.
plants it's quite easy, and yes, definitely. So this is the area we are actively working, and I think this is quite relevant to the whole world. So we have now 8 billion people in the world, and everybody is concerned that they are getting old. And if we had something, I can say like in 10 years we'll have different molecules in our hand which can have like which can keep the people more in their younger age. And even if you are a very old person and having less energy, even
Yeah.
very hard to move, then if you will use those molecules and biomolecules, then you will be also like you can beat your old age, and you can be
Yeah.
young again. So this is just one aspect that we were talking about the scientists, that the scientists, they enjoy their work, they love. And one of the question I asked to you, that what actually makes scientists happy. So you can also tell your story, but for me, like when you get the results of your experiments, you feel like you are the most happiest person on the
Yeah,
planet.
exactly.
So you are like you feel jumping in your inside, you are feeling dancing from inside. So this kind of like whenever you get for example, if you get the PCR, that's quite interesting story. So like when I was during my PhD, if somebody got the PCR results, then everybody used to say, give us the party because you got the results. And that person was
Yeah,
also, you can do a publications and everybody's asking you, give us a party of your
exactly.
publication. So these are some of the enjoyments, and you can also share some of your
So my
stories.
also the similar thing that whenever we get the results, we feel very happy, and whenever we even happiness also comes when what happiness for me as well. Whenever I get the new juniors in the lab, and whenever I teach them that you have to do this experiment like this, and this also make me happy. So this is also very happy thing for me that I am teaching that other, and they are like they are nil and they don't know, and they are like asking you the different questions and you are answering them. And this is also the one of the point happy point for me, that I am teaching the new people.
Okay, so I think we can definitely we should pay tribute to our researchers in Pakistan. We have a good number of scientists, and they are actually playing a very important role. And this is my own observation. I've been to so many countries. I've been to I think around 40 different countries meeting the scientists, because this is I am being the scientist. I used to travel to different countries, and then I used to have the interaction with the scientists of different countries and also the scientists of Pakistan. So what I have observed, the scientists of Pakistan, they are also working day and night in Pakistan. I've been to like over 100 universities of Pakistan, interaction with the scientists working in different area. Like some are working on different technologies, on agriculture, on artificial intelligence, on robotics, on biomedical engineering. So whatever the field, they are actually extending the boundaries of that area. So they are actually making very significant contribution in Pakistan, although there is a need to do a lot more. And often people ask us what kind of contribution you are making in Pakistan. So if you visit the laboratories, if you visit the scientific institution, there is a lot going on. And in Pakistan, our country is rich in industries and rich in agriculture. So all the developments, they are coming from the scientists who are working day and night to make the things happen. So whatever challenge we face, the scientists, they are working. So I was telling you the story of scientists who are working in different countries, the Pakistani, and they are so hard working. Like working in Europe, working in US, working in Japan and other countries. So I had a very good interaction, and they are actually pushing the boundaries, and they are doing cutting edge research on different areas. And some of those we also invited into the researchers into this studio. Even our last guest who came, they were from nurse Dr. Zartasha. She's working in biomedical engineering, and Dr. Usman, he's working in area of artificial intelligence. So these are the researchers who worked in different countries, and now they are working in Pakistan and making an important contributions. So this program was meant to pay tribute to our researchers, and we really being our researcher ourselves, and on behalf of researchers, and especially on behalf of National Academy of Young Scientists, who actually started this International Day of Scientists, and tried to make salute and appreciation for the scientists. So they was started. So we appreciate the effort of the whole team of National Academy of Young Scientists. So this day is for the scientists, and we appreciate their effort. Only thing is we should make the science more productive for the society, not for the destruction. Even for the destruction, like science is have both the sides. It can cut both sides. So like it can be used for the benefit of the society, just like the atomic energy that can be used to treat the diseases, that can have application in agriculture. But on the other side, if we have the atomic power, that atom bomb, that can also cause the destruction. So there is only need that the scientists, and especially in this era when we have huge implications of artificial intelligence and the robotics and the machines and the machine brain interactions and kind of things. So I think the researchers have more responsibility now to work on the constructive side rather on the destructive side. So this is also very important for the researchers, that they should play their role.
Where there is a more scientific research and the more scientific knowledge is growing very fast. And with the help of the AI, and the knowledge is going so fast, and robotics and AI, they are doing that. In our childhood, we used to see the scientists, very old people, that whenever we start reading about the scientists in our 10th grade, and we see the different old people who are the scientists. But now if we see in the Pakistan, even there are the very young people who are in the 2% of the world scientist, and they are very
It's a
young,
very
and
good
they are,
number, yeah.
yeah. So this is good thing that our country is also doing good in the science, and they are producing the very good researcher, that they are listed in the top 2% of the scientists around the world.
Yes, only there is need like what we have observed in Pakistan. There is a need of more political commitment for the researchers. So there is a need to do like more funding in for research. So we need to build more scientific institute in our country with good funding, so we can do better research. And definitely there is a huge potential in our country. Our researchers are very motivated and they want to make the contributions. But one of the limiting thing, just like we had, I was recently in Ghazi University in Dera Ghazi Khan. So it's like in south of the Punjab. But I have learned that they have very limited funds right now available in the university, and I had the interaction with their faculty. So one of the session was with the faculty, and we have like more than 100 faculty member who joined the session, and one of the complaint from their side was lack of funding. So I think there is a need of more funding to these universities and research institutes, so they can do better and they can perform better. Another thing, another very important aspect that I wanted to highlight was the academia industry linkage. So I was in discussion since like more than 15 years that there is a need to have better linkage between industry and academia. So our academia is working on silos, our industry is working on silos. So with this program, I would also like to ask our industrialists that they should bring their problems to the scientists in the universities, and they will definitely work on those problems, and we can have better products in Pakistan. So they can improve like whatever formulation they are working, either they are the food items, whatever food items they are working on, either they are working on the ICT things, they are working on health tech things, whatever tech you are working. You can definitely improve if you bring the problem to the universities. And this is all the universities, they can have better funding on one side, and other side you can have the better products. So research will thrive, the researcher will get benefit, and Pakistan will get benefit. So with this important message, I think we can close the discussion. I just wanted to have one message from Dr. Kubra as well on this very important day of scientists. So what is your message, and then we close the discussion?
Yeah, actually the scientists are the main people that regulate the different sectors in the Pakistan, in a country, not in Pakistan, in the whole world. Like we get the benefits in agriculture, in health sector, and in every sector, like in aerospace, in IT, and everything. So this is very good initiative that National Academy of Young Scientists has started to give the tribute to the scientists. So if you have the if you want to become a researcher as a scientist, so good news is that now Pakistani universities have a very good laboratories and very good research centers where one can continue their research and their passion for the science. So keep growing and keep dreaming and be a good scientist if you want to be.
Very good message, Dr. Kubra. So with this, we close the discussion once again. Today we are celebrating Scientist Day, not only in Pakistan but across the world. And this day is to pay tribute to our researchers who are working day and night to make the lives of the people better. And they need the appreciation, so we should appreciate them at all the levels. Either they are working in the colleges, we should appreciate them. If they are working in the universities, we should appreciate them. If they are working in research centers, if they are working in industries, their main thing is they try to understand everything, whatever they are like trying to work on, and then they try to make the things better for the society. So in order to make the society better, prosperous, we should appreciate the researchers, because those are the main pillars. They are the main factors behind the development we have seen recently across the world. So the world is changing very rapidly, and these are actually the driving force for this change that we are seeing across the world. So with this, we close the discussion of our program Innovative Pakistan with Dr. Aftab on Planet FM 87.6, and we will continue our discussion in our program. What we do, we try to, our program is even more focused on the scientists, so we try to bring the researchers from different universities, institutes working in Pakistan and abroad. So if you are like passionate to communicate your research to the society, do let us know, and we will be happy to host you in Planet FM 87.6 at Radio Pakistan. Thank you very much for joining us today in our discussion about Scientist Day.